Another part of putting the bees to bed is that making sure there are no drafts going to get into the hive apart from under the bottom through the wire mesh. And we always check every single box just to see if there's any gaps. Best will in the world, wood shrinks and bends, and if we see a gap like this one here, what we do then is we just tape it up with duct tape so that the bees at least won't have a draft. So what I'm going to do now is just put a line of duct tape along that particular box like that, and I'll take that duct tape right the way round. And there we go, we now know that that's sealed up and there shouldn't be any drafts blowing through the hive. We're just looking at this one particular hive now. During the summer months it would have had up to 60, possibly up to 80,000 bees in it. But as the pollen and the nectar reduces and there's far less coming into the hive, the queen knows that she's got to cut down that brood, and she'll reduce laying eggs from now on. And whereas she was laying about 1,500 a day, she will bring that right down, and it might only be 100, 150 a day during the winter, because of course all these bees that you can see out here now, there are still the summer honeybees that have been flying, the workers basically, that have been flying out and gathering nectar and pollen. But the bees that she's going to be producing from now on are going to be the winter bees, or the overwintered bees, and those bees never actually leave the hive to gather anything because there's nothing to gather and it's obviously very cold. And it'll be those bees that will live in that hive for up to 4 or 5 months, until next February or March. So what happens here is that we've got 3 boxes left now, and in our very top box, if you remember, that's where we've put all the honey, and the weight of that top box will be about 40-45 pounds. It could be nearly 50 pounds in weight. It's just chock-a-block with honey. In the middle box will be her brood where she's laying. That'll be her cluster, and it'll be right in the centre of the box there. And as at the moment it'll go right across the box, but it'll start shrinking and the nest will become just in the middle, and that's really the warmest part of the hive, or it's going to be during those winter months when it's really cold, because they've still got to keep the temperature at about 30 degrees, even though that whatever the temperature is outside, for the brood that's left to stay alive. So she will still continue laying, but not that much at all. And what the bees were going to do then is they're going to backfill these outside frames, and they will do that by the last remaining nectar and pollen that's going to come in, and that's going to come from the ivy. And ivy has just started to flow now, so they'll be picking up just the ivy for the next 6 to 8 weeks. And then what will happen is, if they've got a really fantastic ivy flow, there's every chance that they won't even consume the honey that we've left them in the top box. They might find that they have enough that they've gathered in that middle box where the hive has actually shrunk down. The queen will gradually move from that box up to the middle of the box where some of the honey is, or was, should I say, and that'll be the warmest point up there. So she'll rise from the middle box up to the top box and will start laying her brood right in the middle of that top box, and again that's the warmest place for her to be. Now in the bottom box there could be some stores, but usually it's fairly empty, and the bees that are here now will be living in here until they pass away themselves. So come back in a month's time, you won't see any activity like you're seeing today. All the bees will be safely in that middle box, clustering together and keeping themselves warm, and the only reason they'll come out here will be for a cleansing flight, and they will only do that on a warm day. Now if there aren't any warm days, they won't come out, and they will just stay indoors and keep warm, because they've got to keep that cluster warm. So that's the setup of the hive. All the hives are going to be like that, 3 boxes, one virtually empty, but also having that empty bottom box means that there's no particular draft blowing through and in and cooling them down. So there we are, that's our setup for winter until the spring.